Hello everyone, and welcome back to Advance Wars Days of Ruin. As I said, I did want to go over these two little bits. A multi-card and Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. These are kind of more of like, hey, you can actually play with other people kind of deal. And free battle is pretty much what it looks like. You can go through all the trial missions and kind of do your own thing. You can pick who you want to play as, that whole bit. Then they've got 2P, 3P, 4P. Classic, which is missions that have been war rooms or otherwise in previous games. But there's an option that doesn't show up until you actually do something, and that is under Design Room. But before we go there, I'm going to show off what this whole records bit is. Also, you could reset this. I'm not doing that. But you can. There is essentially a music player that you can play all kinds of different songs that you will hear throughout playing the game. Not sure why some of these are locked, but some of it might be because I hadn't went into the war room or anything, but there's that. History will show you what rank you've gotten, so if you're truly wanting to do 100%, then getting that final rank at the end is definitely how you do it. And yes, I've played this for 52 hours. Good grief. Total maps played, maps cleared. You can tell I've quit a few times and tried to redo stuff. Yeah. Total days, over 1,000. That's fantastic. And this shows, like, oh, these are S ranks, A ranks, Bs, and Cs. There are, like, you have to purposely probably get these. Vs are going to be mostly what you get, unless you're just... unless it's just not going well for you. It's, like that one. But there's also two types of victories you can get, which is HQ capture and annihilation. Total funds used. Yeah, 16 million funds. My damage value is half of that. Ow. Co-powers used, boarded, and retreated. It's just all kinds of stuff. Okay, there's stuff apparently that I haven't viewed. But yeah. Talon guns and nests, meteors destroyed. And this kind of shows all the units you've produced and what medals you have on those. Infantry, we got 3 easily. These are pretty close because you pretty much always get these at the beginning of your missions because that's what you have. You have to capture stuff so you can build the bigger guys. And units defeated as well. So this would be a harder one. There are ways to go around it, and an easier way to do that is actually going to Design Room and designing a map that you could play multiple times to get the rank of destruction that you want. Now, I never used this, but you can change the Co's colors. The original, honestly, in my opinion, looks better for pretty much everybody. Lynn, they're pretty close to the same with this, in my opinion, on that. But everyone else, good grief, like, they have terrible colors. I don't know who decided to go with that, but jeez, they did not do a good job on the color palettes for this. It's pretty bad. Like, really? If fuchsia is the color you pick for that guy's uniform, it's kind of abysmal. Penny, and Penny's second one's not bad either. But yeah, 2 alternate colors not being that bad, that's a pretty bad selection in my opinion. The Dual Strike does a lot better with it. And we'll get to that game at some point. Now, design map, I will hand it to this game. There are 50 different designs you can come up with and save. Okay, there are screaming children outside my window. They're just playing, I know, but oh boy. There's a couple of things that you want to keep in mind for this. Once you go in, it will randomly generate whatever, and you can change it however you want, which is interesting. I don't know why you would want to have a map like this, but okay. You could. Now, hitting select, you go to setting different terrain, and you can just clear it out however you want. Anything that used to be there will be deleted. Unless it's a unit, then it will not. If you ever have used the paint bucket tool in either Microsoft Paint or Photoshop, that's what the paint option does. It just completely covers it. And that's pretty much it for this. Here is where you can change the size of the map and change the name of it. We're not doing that. And the fill, if you want it to be all specifically one thing. Auto is where it will auto-generate a map for you. If you want it to be completely C, you can do that as well. Now, you could also set the rules for the map, whether you want it to be fog of war or not, what kind of condition you want. If you want it to be random all the time, you can set that. What kind of terrain you want it to be. If you want it to be normal, ruin, snow, desert, that kind of thing. What the limit on the days you have to do this mission is. And you can go all the way up to 99, or you could just have it as infinite days. You can turn it, the level up part is the rank. So if you don't want people to be able to rank, you can turn that off. AI, you can tell it, like, kind of go, oh, what the AI is going to do. So you can kind of change it up like that if you want them to be more of a turtle, someone that goes all out, attacks, or just as normal. You can change the income for your cities. You can even make it 0. So they only have a certain amount of funds they can play with, and they can only start with a certain amount of funds. Have fun with that. So there's a little bit you could do with this. Let's see. Here we go. So this is essentially if you want to your list of essentially terrain you can use. And if you want to have temporary airports or temporary ports, you can also put those in if you don't want something to be able to be built. But you can also go through the different armies. This is neutral, and then obviously Brenner, Lazurian, New Vanilla, and IDS are there. So, trying to think of this, if there's really anything else. Not really. And you can, and the nice thing, and I will say this about this game, I think I've mentioned it, but I have to hand it to whoever designed the map for this, because whoever was part of the War Room bit, they did a phenomenal job with it. in my opinion. It's done in a very well fashion compared to the other ones. In the other ones you can't change the size of the map at all, and honestly, it's just rather ridiculous to go through it all. And the fact that you can do essentially the paint bucket is just really cool. But yeah, and I did say I would actually show what a map would look like that I would want to build, or I have built. I checked it and it was actually a lot bigger of a map than I thought it was, so let's kind of go down this one. Actually, if I want to do that, I want to make this even. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Okay. Alright. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Alright. I'm going to create a central land mass here. Yeah, there we go. And I'll probably kind of just make it look a little bit more like a more natural version of a landmass, not the insanity that it could possibly end up being. So let's do that, to where it's kind of in the middle bit here, but set the rules. Let's actually have it on snow, with snow being the condition. And you can see that it's changed the grass to kind of snow covered, and you can see the snow condition, which is pretty cool. And let's see. If you put woods, if you put mountains, wasteland, ruins, bridges, you can tell how they have those different aspects of actually kind of having that snow covered or ruins or whatever, and it's actually kind of cool. Let's do... Let's put Brenner over here. Actually, this would kind of make it a little bit easier to go through. Now, I hear a thunderstorm coming. Well, that's not good. No. No, I said this. Or, there we go. And I'll put IDS out there. And what we can do is we could build roads to the IDS HQ. And we can kind of do that with Brenner rules. Have some... Actually, we can have kind of like a mountain range here. And have a river flowing from here. Oh, come on. No. There we go. Jeez. A little bit of work can be used on that, but kind of have that separating it a little bit, have some just mountains kind of in this central area anyway. Let's say the sea separates them over here, and actually does that right there. And we'll have... Oh, that's not what I meant. Alright, have a couple of areas where New Rubinel can get. We're going to have some bridges connecting. Actually... for Lazurians, I'm gonna have to have them kind of sequestered off to their own little bit too. Unless I do this and just have that. That's probably gonna be a little bit better. And we'll put a couple of mountains here and here. Have some bridges going throughout the area. Actually, we'll do that. So kind of have this as a layout, and from there we'll kind of just spread out some cities. And what I usually do when I'm creating maps like this is I'll go and place some neutral cities throughout the area, and then I'll essentially I'll change them into the respective army's city, essentially. I just try to use them as the neutral cities as place markers. That way it makes it a little bit easier instead of, this person should have this and that, and it makes it a little bit easier as a result. Do I want to have some beaches? I think I do. We're not going to have a whole lot. And I'm not going to put one like right up on the HQ because that can cause... It can cause a little bit of chaos, I will say. Not that you can't do that, but I'm going to do this a little bit differently than sometimes I have done it. Alright, so there's that. I don't know if I'm going to do any... naval units yet, so the mist here is just simply aesthetic. And I'm thinking, since it's kind of a somewhat snowy area, having having a mist around your bases here would be something that would be the case. I don't usually use silos. I can put them in here, but I usually don't use them. Bases. I think each person's gonna have a couple of bases. You know what? If that's gonna be the case, I'm gonna turn that off. That way they can't just rush into each other's bases. Infantry-wise, yeah, that's gonna happen, but I don't want that to be the case all the time. We're gonna have bases there. And I think I'm gonna do an airport here and here. Well, that's kind of favoring that one side. Here. Kind of in the middle for both, and both of them would be kind of running for it. And actually, you do want to be careful if you're doing plasma and meteors, because under plasma is going to just be regular planes, so if they destroy the meteors, it's going to create a point of entry to like a pathway right where you might not want it. So that's something you do want to keep in mind. Radars, if you're doing fog of war, you might want to have those. I would say probably for this size of map it wouldn't be pertinent to have a radar, so no. As far as a comm tower, this is what I'll do. I'll put a comm tower on both the north and the south side, and they'll have beaches on them. But I'm not going to have any naval units. They have to get there by a T-copter. Because why not? Actually, you know what? It's not going to just be that. Because I want to have a little bit of a small island on each one of those. Whoever gets there can get a couple of more cities and also a T-airport. So they don't have to use this, but they can't build from it. As far as what we're going to be... I don't think I'm going to use ruins or wasteland, but I am going to use woods. And put some woods there for aesthetics. Alright. Now, road. Does it? Yeah, it immediately does that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is have this go there, this do that. Yeah, alright, so those aren't going to be roaded. Um, it's kind of a hodgepodge of a mess, but hey, you know, it's kind of what I decided to come up with kind of on the fly there. So, to finish it up, I will start transferring things over to the respective armies. You know what? I actually think what I'm going to do, you start with Ace Factory. Maybe an extra, yeah, just have an extra city, but not an extra factory yet. Put that there. But yeah. So that will be this map. Edit the name. I don't really have a name really kind of in mind. So I'm just gonna name it this, just because. You save it, and then yeah, that looks fine. End it. Boom. And then when you go back to free battle, you'll notice design becomes an option. And then, oh, well, we can play as whoever we want. Let's say we want to have a whole bunch of crazy people. Actually, Wayland would be a better opponent than any of that. And then you can put people on teams if you want. I was like, oh, Forsyth and I will be on a team, and the two of them will be on a team. Boom. And you just kind of go about playing the game like you normally would, and just doing your thing. It's really not anything too crazy, but this is just kind of one of those ways you can have some longevity in this game. And if there is any quirks that you find when you design a map, you can always go back and redo it and change what you need. It's like, yeah, I didn't think that was quite what I should do there. You can change that up to what you need it to be. But yeah, that, ladies and gentlemen, has been Legend of Zelda. What? Advance Wars Days of Ruin. I thank you all for joining me on this really long, it feels like it's been really long playthrough, just because of the nature of kind of how things have gone. What I do plan on doing, and I'm just going to keep doing this until I'm kind of done with my old spiel. I do plan on actually well, That's a bit random. Anyway, I do plan on getting back to playing Fire Emblem Three Houses, like I was saying. But I do want to start playing, well, not start, but continue playing Majora's Mask first. I also have a couple of other things I want to do along with it once I complete Majora's Mask. Because I am going for 100% on it. And kind of like how I did Ocarina of Time, doing nothing but streaming it, I'm going to do the same thing with Majora's Mask. And my hope is that we can do a good job. I can do a good job of it and show everything that I want to show in that game. Because I do like Majora's Mask, even though I have my gripes with it. But those are very few. The reason why I haven't streamed it as much is mainly because I had to get a working controller for it. I was able to stream it off of the controller I'm using for this emulator, but oh gosh, it was just like awful. It was so awful. The controller itself isn't awful, it's just the fact that the emulator I used for it just would never take the inputs for it. For some inexplicable reason. It's weird. So I pulled out a adapter for a GameCube controller that I can also use for PC and the Wii U. So I've plugged in an old GameCube controller I had for when my GameCube was still alive, and it works. So we should be fine. So I'll be able to start that up. And I did a test of it, and I don't seem to have any issues with playing in the game with it, which is good. That's the main thing, is not having an issue. It works better than having this pseudo Xbox controller for trying to play Nintendo 64 stuff. So that was a big change that I actually like. I think I want to change like one of the inputs, and that's it. I want to change it to where the Z button's actually on the L button, so I can do L targeting, as it were, rather than trying to do Z target on that itty-bitty thing of a button. That's the Z button on a Xbox controller. So I think we'll be fine. You got, you do what you gotta do, kind of deal. At any rate, once we're done with it, and kind of when I'm done with that, I'm planning on taking the DLC for Fire Emblem Three Houses, going through that, and what I want to do for the other three paths, because the story's a little bit different depending on which path you take, on part 1, and part 2 definitely so. There's totally different missions and everything, and I want to show that. So what I aim to do for after I'm done with the DLC, going forward in Fire Emblem, what I plan on my plan and this may not be the fantastic plan of everything, but it's a plan that I want to do, is show like the actual story cutscenes, and so that's still going to be visible, and also while I'm at it, I want to showcase the fighting only on the main story missions. Like doing the auxiliary battles, I wouldn't be showing that at all. So that would be what I want to do. So I would probably still have every single chapter within a video and show a whole bunch of the story cutscenes and then have the fight. Which means it might be a couple of days of recording and then condensing it down into one video, or I just record the whole chapter and then cut it down. I don't know. But like I might record like 1 week at a time and then kind of meshing it together and going about it that way, so it's a little bit easier for me to kind of condense it down. I'm not entirely sure on all the specifics, but that's kind of the idea I have. Also, I'll show any support conversations or what have you as well. And the biggest thing that I do, the reason I'm wanting to do it that way is just a little bit, to make it a little bit easier on it. I may have like a separate video for those support conversations. I don't know. Just to kind of make it a little bit more concise. Okay, this is what's happening. But my plan on that is to hopefully finish 3 houses by the end of the year. I want to do that because there are other games I do actually want to play too. But yeah, and I can, just kind of playing through this, I can see that a 4v4 map would be a lot better for this kind of an idea, rather than a 2v2. Because, really, Waylon, you capture that, you leave your buddy with just one base? Anyway. That will be all. Again, thank you for joining me for Advance Wars Days of Ruin. I will do Dual Strike at some point. I'm just going to take a break from Advance Wars for a little bit because good night. Going through all this is a bit of a mess. And I kind of just want to take a step back from it. Not that I don't like this game, I really do. And when we come back to this series, I'm going to be doing Days of Ruin. And I was asked, and I'm probably going to do it, is going back and redoing the first game at some point. And just actually having a much better presentation. Because I recorded that series like almost I would say probably about 5 or 6 years ago. Somewhere in there. So yeah, it was quite a while ago. And I'm gonna record a separate video, and because I actually do want to kind of talk about what I'm planning on doing for future stuff as well. But that's a whole different subject and video and all that kind of craziness. With that being said, once again, thank you for joining me in this, and we will be playing through Majora's Mask. Depending on how things go as far as editing, I might stream tonight. I do have to work tomorrow, but I might stream tonight. And kind of go through the Woodfall area. So if I already streamed that, then okay. But if not, then I'll probably wait till after this is done if I don't get it done. If I don't stream today. That way I can have this project, this series done and kind of put it to the side and put it into the done folder, as it were. But yeah, if you're wanting to say you 100%ed this, I would say you would have to have all S ranks on that, complete the chapters and trial missions, and complete the history. I think in my personal game, where I've played over 100 hours, it's like 120 something, I believe, I've gotten to the 4th medal, but that's as far as I've gotten. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, thank you all for joining me for Advance Wars Days of Ruin. And I will see you guys in another playthrough. Later.